The action-oriented recommendations of the report emphasize the importance of a hybrid cloud architecture to provide a consistent standards-based approach to development, security, and operations. Daniel, can you share your insights on how hybrid cloud is a smarter architecture that allows for portability of workloads, orchestration, and management across multiple environments?
Yeah, perfect. I will, but first, one of the things I want to latch on to is the fact action-orientated recommendations, right? Not just recommendations. So this is not a report that we want to sit there and put on a shelf. This is about actions. This is about taking next steps. And how can we do that? How can we work across the board with engineers from IBM, end users, warfighters? How do we bring all that together? But I have to say, action-orientated, love that phrase, and it's something that is needed. And one of the reasons it's needed is because we have the potential to introduce one hell of a level of complexity into all of this. Right? So perhaps breaking down your question, right? Well, okay, what is hybrid infrastructure? Okay, so we're talking about public and private clouds, and we're talking about traditional infrastructure, on-premise type of infrastructure. The real challenge here is if we're not careful, we're going to build towers of each of those three things. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have trouble with the orchestration, how we're moving data, where we're moving data. So there is a real need for a smarter architecture right now. And that's being driven too by what's in the market. We've got a real drive for a faster level of application development. In the military, they're talking about code to combat in 24 hours, right? Wow, that usually takes weeks to months. We're talking about the adoption of Kubernetes or the containerization models to make sure that we can work across those different applications and those different workloads with ease and flexibility. And of course, you've got the growing use of AI and edge capabilities and all of the inherent benefits that come with that in terms of making better decisions faster, which is the end state that what our warfighting folk are asking for. How do we maintain that advantage with better decision making? So only a hybrid cloud architecture that is smarter than the standard we already have, and I'll be careful with that word standard because it's coming up again, we need a standards-driven open architecture that will allow that flexibility. If we can reduce the complexity, we can reduce the speed, we can increase the speed, and we can get things that are needed to our warfighters faster, and we can maintain that edge, that decision superiority that's what we're all aiming for here, yeah?
I really liked what you said about that it's about reducing complexity, increasing the speed in which solutions can be provided, and then also thinking about how it's operating in an environment which is about accelerating delivery of code, of AI. And of course, in the midst of all this, we need to be aware, like you said, the adversary gets a vote. And so we need to be able to actually have a hybrid cloud architecture as the smarter approach for when things might actually in some parts or segments be denied. And so I was wondering if you could maybe elaborate a little bit more about how we need to actually sort of prepare for the best of all conditions, but also possibly strained conditions, and how a hybrid cloud architecture can actually prepare for that scenario, because this is something where we will be facing challenges to the very networks that we'll be dealing with. So I would be wondering, Daniel, if you could actually elaborate a little bit more on how we can deal with the fact that there may be adversaries trying to actually take out the very operations themselves.
So first and foremost is building in security as part of that solution, not as a bolt onto that solution. So there is a whole discussion about zero trust security and what we need to do in that vein. And that's a conversation we could go on for hours. But I'm going to steal something from my friends at the Defense Architecture for CIOG, right? And they've used two sets of three key words, right? They're talking about simplify, standardize, and automate. They're talking about consistency, confidence, and choice. Okay? Yeah, add all those things together, and if you do get, let's use this security example, if you do get breached, right? If you have, but you've got a simplified architecture that you can close down, shut off, discover that breach has happened within seconds rather than within days. That simplified, standardized approach, okay, is going to remove the complexity. And even if they do get in, they being the enemy do get in, we discover it, we respond to it, and we can then move forward. With any luck, we've actually been proactive and we've seen it's coming, and the architecture actually supports that as well. So simplify, standardize, and automate leads to consistency, confidence, and choice. And I like those set of phrases because it encapsulates everything we're trying to do here, I think.